Hi there, my name is Toby, and on this video I want to re-release the interview that I did recently with Sovereign Pete, because I unlisted some videos recently because I thought they're a bit too rebellious, a bit too anti-establishment for YouTube. So I want to do them again, and I even created a new channel on Rumble thinking I might put some of those videos across there. But now I think, let me just focus on this channel. I must be able to find a better way of talking that will allow me to say all the things I want to say, but it won't upset YouTube. It won't be too, I don't want to be too rebellious, but still not compromise the message I want to get across. And the message really I'm trying to get across is about corruption. I'm just pointing out the corruption in the world. And that's what this interview is all about. I'm talking to Sovereign Pete, and he is particularly expert in understanding the corruption, the system, the way the world works. And the idea, again, it's the idea, but it's a very rational idea, very well researched, and there's a lot of evidence for this. So you've got to do your own research. But it's a simple idea that the world is run by a system. And the system really is the financial system, it's the legal system, and it's the political system, the power structure. And of course, you've also got the media and the scientific community as well. They're all part of it. And we sort of think that people believe we need this system. They understand there's corruption. So not everyone knows there's corruption. Yeah, there's corruption. But they believe, well, we need the system. We just want to reduce corruption a bit. And the system is okay if we could just reduce corruption. But the problem is, what nobody realizes is the corruption has created the system. The system itself has been created by the corruption. It is inherently corrupt. It's difficult to get your head around it. The financial system, it basically runs the show. Everything is run by money. Where does money come from? It comes from the bank. The bank creates the money, and these are private organizations. How can a private organization create the money that runs the world? And this runs everything. This runs the legal system, and it runs the political system, and of course it runs the media and the scientific community. Money runs the world, but it's corrupt. The way they create money, fiat currency, is a funny game, and I have to explain this in more detail in another talk. But basically, this guy, Sovereign Pete, and the Sovereign Movement, they're essentially exposing this system, how it works, why it works, and in particular, they're exposing the legal system, how that works. And it's a particular corruption that takes place through language. They are manipulating language, double meaning of the words. So because we don't understand the language, it's easy for them to control us and manipulate us. And let me just give you a couple of ideas. There's three basic ways we can see this. The first level is the media. You see, the media talk to us. Hi there, this is the BBC, and today on the World Service we will tell you the facts and the news around the world. So they're telling you facts and news, but this is acting. It's a particular tonality of the voice, a particular phraseology. It makes us think of authority. Oh, they are serious-minded people. They're only telling us the facts. So we believe them. It's a manipulation of language, tonality, phraseology, so that we change our opinion. And if you don't realize this, you see, the media can turn a terrible story, something really evil, and they make it sound palatable. Oh, it's not that bad. Like they can justify war. Oh, we must go to war. Oh, yeah, we must go to war. And they can take some, insignificant, trivial story and blow it up into something major. Oh, that's terrible. And it's nothing. See, this is all done through language, manipulation of language. Then the second one we can see is corporate language, corporate speak. The corporations, the advertisements, they create new words. They create all different type of words, phraseologies that sound good. Now, it's really, corporations are just about profit. Everyone must know that now. All corporations are only about profit, nothing else. So when they say something, oh, that sounds great, you've got to look behind it. It's really a cover for some terrible thing they want to do in the name of profit. may look like the green agenda. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, it's a new words, green agenda. Sounds wonderful. Green planet. Yeah, we're going to make a green planet. But they're chopping down all the trees in the name of the green agenda. So it's telling you one thing, doing another thing. So you've got to be skeptical. Everything that the corporations say or do, you've got to be skeptical of it. And this is how advertising works. Advertising, subliminal advertising, as well as overt advertising, it is changing your opinion of something. Using language, using phraseology, imagery to make it sound nice. Some terrible evil, oh, it just sounds trivial. Oh, that's okay, that's nice. We got to go to war now. Yay, we're off to war. You've changed the whole image and now it's acceptable. Again, manipulating us through language. Got to see this. We all should be able to see this. And then the third most dangerous, most powerful one is the legal system. Again, it's a language. Legalese. We don't understand the language they are talking. And they use the language and the meaning of the words to manipulate us and control us quite directly. You see, we think we need it. Yeah, we've broken the law. What we don't realise, it's not the law. It's not the law. It's just the legal. You see, it's a new system called legal, not law. They can't call it law. It's only a semblance of law, acting like law. And they can make up whatever they want to do and justify it to themselves using these funny games with language. So it's a big deal. We don't really understand this. We can't see through it. It's a bit controversial because, again, people can't understand that. Yeah, the legal system, they're all honest. Really? If you think the legal system are all honest, you think lawyers are honest, judges are honest, well, I think you're being a bit naive there. We can all see it now. There's two levels of justice going on, two levels of enforcement, a lot of funny games going on, but what we don't understand, it's not just the odd corrupt person. The system itself is inherently corrupt. It has been created, designed that way. They all work together. Finances, legal, politics, media, science and medicine all work together as part of a big system. And you've got to see through this. We've got to see through this. So this interview is with Sovereign Pete. So he's a particular expert in this field. There's lots of people have different opinions of Pete, but I've done my research. To me, this guy is a top guy. He knows what he's talking about. I've met his team. Again, all very decent, honourable people. He's got a backup of professional legal experts, qualified in the legal system, experts. So what he's saying is a serious business. And I'm having a serious discussion with him because I'm working on my own project, a Better World project. Again, it's a new system. If we're going to, change all this system, we need something better. So that's what I'm working on. What could be a better system? And we're having a discussion about this. But it's quite an advanced discussion. It's not a beginner discussion. I hope to have another interview with him in the future, which we can talk on a basic level, a very beginner level, so that we can all understand what is going on and how we can take some simple steps to see through it and what we might do in our life to protect ourselves from this stuff. But it's dangerous. If you listen to what we talk about, just listen to the information, don't act upon it. Don't act upon this information. It's very difficult to go up against the system. That's why I unlisted some videos. You've got to be very careful when you're talking rebellion. It's essentially we're talking rebellion. So you've got to take that with a pinch of salt. Be skeptical. Think about what we're saying and do your own research. All this stuff requires your own personal research. So I'm going to do this interview again now, but with this introduction and with this warning. It's serious stuff we're talking about, but it's philosophical. It's idealistic. We're contemplating how a better world might actually work. How could it be? How could we have a world without this corrupt power system? So it's a big deal. It's a very important interview. And if you haven't seen it the last time, please do watch through this whole thing. It's a very interesting, important discussion. And I'll leave links below to Sovereign Pete, some more videos where he talks in more detail. And you can check out his website and learn more about him and what he does. So thank you very much for listening to this introduction. And without further ado, let's get on with the interview. So, hi there, my name is Toby. And on today's video, this is a very special video. This is my first interview or chat on this channel. And I'm very honored and privileged to have with me today Sovereign Pete, who is the founder of the Sovereign Project. And I've got a great respect for this guy. And we met or started talking about a year ago because I'm also working on a freedom movement project. My project is a blockchain ecosystem. And so I've been talking to Pete about that, and we're working together on that project. So I'm hoping we're going to get some important discussion happening today about that. So I think this is going to be a very important chat because I can see where this could go. So I might be the only one to say it, but I think this could be historic. So I hope everyone is going to stick around and listen to this whole chat because Sovereign Pete has got some very, very important information that we should all listen to. So the Sovereign Project, Pete is the founder of this, and it's a very important project. They're educating people in the ways of the matrix, really, how the matrix works, how the legal system works, and how we might find a way out of the matrix. But I might start by asking Pete to tell us a little bit more about the Sovereign Project and give us an update. Where have you got to so far? What's happening with the Sovereign Project right now? So Pete, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, no worries at all. Yeah, well, I founded the Sovereign Project and the Sovereign Fraternity in about 2020. It was just me and another friend, Joanna. We set it up. She helped me set up the website. And I set up a website with some information, some free information on how to deal with legal contracts, notices, that sort of stuff. Then I asked a friend of mine, Mark Devlin, if he would do a podcast with me where I could announce this website and everyone could go on it and figure out how to do contracts. Well, that original very first podcast I did went sort of semi-viral. I think it did like 50,000 views and it went crazy. And we got a whole load of emails coming in and then requests to do more podcasts. And then the Sovereign Project absolutely took off. Now, fast forward to today, we've got something on the region of 20,000 plus members over 75 countries. Wow. With about 10 people a day joining up. We've got workshops. In fact, we've got so many different workshops all over the country. I can't even remember the exact amount, but I think the last count was about 17. So this is where individuals have learned the stuff from the Sovereign Project. They've set up their own workshop and now they're educating other people for free. And it's creating this network. We're setting up chess clubs as well. So there's a whole load of chess clubs. And what this is people can meet and help each other with their own remedies and paperwork, that sort of stuff. And we've set up lone nights. These are people who can't reach a workshop or a chess club, but want to be part of the network. I've got a task force of over 50 people that work for me now, volunteers that help me with all sorts of stuff. And we are developing a whole host of remedies that we're going to give away for free. So it's absolutely took off. I've got a good team of people, like I mentioned just before. I'm doing speaking events, networking, I'm meeting people every week. I'm writing another book. I've now written 3 books. So I'm now writing book number 4, which I never thought I'd ever do, but I've actually written a few books. And yes, it's gone absolutely ballistic. We are developing a remedy for the farmers, which we won't reveal at the moment. But when the time comes, we hope that a lot of people will get involved in that and we'll announce it because we are trying to reach out to the farmers and help them. So, yeah, Sovereign Project is huge. And I do it 7 days a week now.
Yeah, that's a non-stop business.
It is.
Oh, I lost you. Ah, you're back.
Yes.
You're back.
I think it just froze. We've got a little bit of a delay in the connection, apparently.
No, that's no worries. That's no worries. Well, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, that's I've got, like I said, I've got the utmost admiration for what you're doing, and we've got to get on and do this. Well, let me start. Let me ask you another question now. So I regard you as one of the top experts in this. Now, with all the things you know, all the work you've done, how would you summarize the situation we're in? How would you summarize the matrix or the corruption that we find ourselves in? What is actually going on? How would you put that into words in a simple sort of way? What is the corruption that we're living in? What's the problem?
Yes. Okay. Let me try and sum it up. What's happened is the average person today, they don't realize this, but they've been tricked into entering into a corporate jurisdiction. Okay. So what this means is they've been tricked into accepting a name that is not theirs. It's actually a legal persona, which is your surname. Surname is surety name, which means you're the debtor, which means you've accepted the debts of someone else. So you've accepted this name. That's your legal persona. Your legal persona name is on everything that you do, from your passport, which is not a form of identification. Your passport is, in fact, a legal document for finance purposes. It's a financial instrument. So passport, driver's license, bank account, deeds to your house, the title to your house, your children, your business, all of this is not in your name, but is in fact in the name of your legal persona, which is controlled by the system. Everything that's going on today is not law. So what is suggested or offered by government, which is a corporation in itself, is not law, but it's a corporate policy. Now, the corruption is that the average person doesn't know this. So this is a legal entrapment, because you've been trapped into a legal contract that you don't even know exists. Now, within a contract, normally both parties within a contract have to abide by the policies within that contract, except the ones who have written the contract, i.e. the employees of the government, they don't even follow their own rules. So law-abiding citizens, which is a legal title in itself, are following the rules of this legal jurisdiction, but the ones who wrote it don't. And what we're witnessing now is all the corruption, and everyone's twiddling their thumbs and stroking their beards and going, what's going on here? What's this two-tier police system? And what's going on? Why do I have to pay tax, but these politicians don't? And why do the billionaires, they don't have to do any of this stuff? Why do they have, I have to lock down, but they don't? That's why.
Yeah, so to sum it up, it's really a very simple deception. It's ever so simple. They've simply deceived us as to who we are. Would you say it's that simple as that? They've simply given us another persona that is not us, and they can use that persona to do all sorts of corrupt things to us. So the next question then is, how would you summarize? How would we get out of the matrix? Is there a simple method? Now, I'm saying this because there are people that offer this service. There are people that offer the service. You can pay a few £1,000s and they'll help get you out of the matrix. Now, is there a way that this can be done? You know, for a total newbie, they just want out, but they don't know anything about it. Can they pay to get themselves out? Is that a possibility? What is your, what is the way of getting out of the matrix? Is there a simple way of getting out?
The answer is no. There is no simple way.
Okay.
And also, you cannot pay to get out of the matrix. That's impossible. The matrix is, in fact, a mindset. Yeah. It's a mindset. Okay. So that's the trap. So the people who control the matrix, they worship the box. Okay. This is symbolism. You'll look around it, you'll see the box. And you go, okay, what's the box mean? It means that they've trapped your mind in the box. So this means they control your mind. So that means that they can tell you what to do, and you will do it because you think you are obligated to do it. So you'll pay your taxes, you'll follow the regulations and all the rest of it, and you will never question it. Therefore, you can't pay to get out of the matrix. You can't do it because your mind will be forever trapped. So it's a mindset. So you have to become sovereign. That does not require paperwork or payment in any way, shape, or form. This is a change of the mindset. So what this means is you will not be told what to do anymore. You will question authority. So, in fact, you'll know where authority comes from because you'll know it comes from me. My authority comes from me. Your authority comes from you. There's such thing as authorities. That's a scam. So you'll question all this. You'll question contracts because you'll realize that everything is contractual, all of it. You can't be forced to pay tax. In fact, tax is contractual. You can't be forced. You can't be forced to do anything. It's all tricked through legal deceptions. So you'll start questioning everything. Now, once you've got the correct mindset, you've got rid of all the brainwashing, you've now taken control of your own life. And this means you are now responsible for your own life. You take responsibility for your own life, especially as a man. A man should absolutely do this, okay? In fact, you're not a man unless you do this. You're still a boy. You're just a male who hasn't reached manhood yet. because reaching manhood means you take responsibility for your own life, which is straightforward. So you take responsibility for your own life and you create your house, your family name, for example. You should have a name, not the legal persona name, not the surname. The average person on this planet doesn't even have a name. They're using someone else's. They're using the surname. That's not yours. So you have to create your own. So your name should be given to you by your mother and father, and you should take your father's last name, which is the family name. That's the three-dimensional living name of you, if you like. And then you should make something of that. It should stand for something. It should stand for honor and respect and hard work and all this sort of stuff, right? It should mean something. Once you've done this, then what you would have to do is create what is called your own estate. Now, to play the game, you can play the Matrix game. You can play, but you've got to become a player before you play in the Matrix. Most people are pieces on the board. You want to get off the board. You want to look down at the board. You want to become a player. So that means you've got to create your own estate. So that means that you should have your own flag. You should have your own coat of arms. You should have your own seal, your own court seal. All of this. This is what the people at the very top of this game have. So the rich people, the super rich people, royalty have their own flags and all the rest of it. We have the right to have the same. Once you've created your estate, you can start claiming stuff. So that means you can claim your house back. You can claim your land back. You can claim your children back and all of it, all the rest of it. And what happens is over time, all the legal titles and the stuff from the legal system fade away, disappear, because they're not relevant anymore, because it's a bluff. So this might be hard to believe, but once you research the system, you'll realize that houses, property, land hasn't been claimed yet. Everyone's got a title, but it's a worthless corporate title with no legal standing. So when you realize that, you go, I don't even want it. Send it away. Thank you. Land registry title. Don't want it. I'm going to claim the land. So all of this takes work. It's an inner work that you have to do to become sovereign. Women and men can both be sovereign. It's, just not just a man thing. But once you become sovereign, then you use your own paperwork. So one of the things you do not do is you use their forms. If you use their forms, you've become an informant. That's what informant means. You've informed. You've written in the form and you've basically dressed yourself up. That's basically what it means. You're an informant. So if you fill their forms in, then that means you're operating within their jurisdiction and they've got control over you. So all this stuff, you shouldn't be doing tick boxes on websites. You shouldn't be doing taxes for legal reasons and all this sort of stuff. You shouldn't be filling out forms. You cannot get, here's a tip for people, you cannot get a laudial title using the legal system. It is impossible. Can't be done. You can't do it. The only way to get a laudial title is if you make the claim yourself. So you make the claim, then you create the deed upon it. Thing about it being issued, if you're issued with anything, then you don't own it. It still belongs to the issuer. They have authority over it. So if you're granted something, then you don't own it. It comes from the grantor. This is from trusts. So all this people need to learn. So if you want anything, you have to create it. You've got to create your name, create your estate, create all your paperwork and your coat of arms and your seals and all the rest of it. And then you can claim all your land and your property and your house and your children back and all the rest of it. So it is a lot of hard work. You have to learn this, but when you do, and there's enough of us, then it's easy, and then we can claim everything back.
Yes, yeah, and see, my idea, the system that I'm trying to build here, the way I see it, I mean, I better just say what it is for people who don't know very, very quickly. So it's a blockchain ecosystem, but we've got 3 technologies, and they're new technologies only available to us. These are brand new things. That's what makes it very exciting. So we got blockchain together with a decentralized communication network. So that is totally independent. It cannot be, it's separate from the existing internet and it's separate from the mobile phone system. It's completely independent. And the third thing we've got is a new cryptography that allows us to connect an NFT on the blockchain to a little microchip, a digital tag. So that means we can connect any physical object to the blockchain. We can guarantee total authenticity of any object, but it also means we can create an identity card because the authenticity is so high. And we need the identity card because that will guarantee anyone on the network, or only real living men and women can be on the network. So that is the idea that it's a sovereign network. So now with this technology is trying to work out what we could do with it. Now, my idea is what we're just talking about now is even when we join this network, there should be a way that when you create your identity, you're essentially doing something to get yourself out of the matrix. In other words, you're entering into see, I'm thinking recently this could be a sovereign dominion. So I've got to ask you about that. So if we're
Sure.
creating a sort of sovereign dominion, then when you enter into the sovereign dominion, you're always already taking the first step out of the matrix, because you are creating the identity. What we put on this card is up to us, what we're going to put on it. And essentially, we're creating it because you're going to put your details on there. And the level of security is so high, it acts as a signature. So you can even have witnesses to what you created. Someone else can touch their card to it to witness the creation of your identity. So I'm hoping that there might be a way that well, it makes the system very appealing because it's a way out of the matrix. By joining the system, you've taken the first step out. Let me just reiterate what you're saying. See if I got it right. See, to my mind, to step out of the matrix, we have to reassert ourselves in the lawful world. At the moment, it's all been done for us. The paperwork has been done for us. They own the paperwork. So if we create our own paperwork, we own it, and we are reasserting ourselves in the real world. And only we can do that, which is what you're saying. So if we can create an identity on this card that is already setting this up, it's going to be at least a step in for people. So the question is, okay, we're talking about affidavits. That's one of the things we talked about in an early discussion that we had, is how do we create a lawful identity that will stand up in the real world? Because, I mean, the bottom line is we can say all that in our mind, I'm sovereign, but, they still can drag us off and lock us in prison unless we got something that we can say, no, you recognize this in your system, and that you can't touch us. So that it's only really to keep the wolves at bay, as it were. We ourselves don't need it, but we need it to keep them away. So what would you say is the simplest, or have I got that right? Is that right? The simplest paperwork we can create is an affidavit saying that I am who I am. Would that be the beginning of stepping out of the net matrix? Because to my mind, I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to take any risks until I've got that paperwork ready. So I've got backup. If I start, messing around, doing things against the system, and I've got no paperwork backing me up, I could get myself into trouble. So essentially, what I'm asking you is, can we narrow this down? What would be the simplest thing that anyone could do as the first step out of the matrix? Would that be it? Or what would you say?
Yes, absolutely. Now, what we're going to do is break it down to the very, very basics. And we're talking about an ID, an identity. And you've got to ask yourself, who is the only one who is actually qualified to identify you? And that would be obviously you. You can't be identified by anyone else. That's not how it works. So the only way that it could work is through an affidavit. So the reason why affidavits are so powerful, because they are the most powerful document there is within both a lawful system and a legal system, is because you're basically swearing an oath of what you are saying or what is written down upon that document is the truth and fact. So if you're making you're swearing an oath to something and it is witnessed on that affidavit, and then you're found to be lying, then your case is done. You are now found guilty. So that's a very, very serious situation to be in. So I think the very simplest thing we should be doing is people need, first of all, to learn how an affidavit works, which we do teach in the 22-week course at the Sovereign Project, and understand them. And an affidavit is a very personal thing. So many people do ask for templates, and I say, well, technically, I can't give you a template because only you know you. But just to keep it simple, what you should be saying on that affidavit is obviously stating your name, which would be the given name in the family name. You should be stating who your father is and who your mother is, and the fact that your father and mother gave you said name when you were born. And you should be stating on the affidavit what language you are using and what dictionary you are using as well, because people can be very deceptive. And then you can do a small statement of who you are. It can be whatever. It could be, if you're religious, you can put that in there. Your beliefs, whatever. It's you. It's your personal statement of who you are. It only needs to be one page. But once that's done, then you will sign it, have it at least witnessed twice. You would put your seal on it because you'd have your own seal at this time because you do need your own seal. So you would put your seal on it. You can get it endorsed and by a public notary. That's so it does actually exist in the legal world as well as the lawful. So if you put a notary public seal on it, then it's an endorsement, meaning the legal system has to accept it. They can't ignore it anymore because the notary public has put his seal on. So the legal system can't ignore. So that is the very basic thing that you would need. And then I suggest we use your technology, which is the NFT card, which I really love, by the way. I'm really excited with this. So you would digitize that paperwork. You can even do a little video of yourself standing by the affidavit and saying, this is my affidavit. This is the proof of who I am. You can, because we've got the technology now. So you could do that. You could put that on an NFT. Your paperwork itself, the original affidavit would stay locked in your safe because it's a very, very valuable document. And then you could carry, in fact, I've got one here, the old NFT card. There we go. You can have that in your wallet. And then if anyone, yeah, there we go. Right. Yeah. So you have that in your wallet. So you don't have to carry paperwork with you. And if anyone says who you are, says, yeah, here you go. And you can scan it on using their phone. And then your affidavit comes up, and there can even be a little video of you saying, this is who I am. There's my affidavit. It's simple.
That's why this project is so exciting. Because of that, it's got the power of your signature. We can now sign digitally, which we could not do before. Yeah. I mean, we've got the other ways of signing digitally, but they're not quite as secure as this. So like I said, you've got witnesses. You can build up a whole lawful system with this. It's very, very interesting. So, okay, we've got a good start now. We've got an idea where this could go. Now, the next thing I want to ask you, okay, now we're going to come back to this because we're going to go into more details, but let me ask you, where is this going? Okay, so the next question, and you might not have been asked this before, but what is your vision? Because we're living in a very complicated world now. There's masses of stuff going on. If you could actually recreate the world the way you want it to be, let's say a sovereign society, how do you see it working? How would the world actually work? What would be going on? Would it be very different from what we got now, or would it be very similar, just a few tweaks? What is your vision? How would you sum up the vision of the way the world should be working?
Okay, yeah, interesting.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the project. If we know what that is, then we can design this system to fulfill that vision. You see, so how would you sum it up? How do you think the world should be working?
Well, one thing would be no centralization. So everything would be decentralized, key. So there would be no land registry. In fact, there would be no registration, because we all know to register something, it means handing over authority. So there would be none of that. There would be no bureaucracy. That'll all go in the bin. There's no red tape anymore. Red tape goes in the bin. No red tape. There would be no need for councils. There would be no need for governments, because they can go in the bin. Don't need them. Thank you very much. So there would be no state healthcare and all the rest of it, and absolutely no state education. We don't want any of that anyway. So everything will become decentralized. Now, what I would see for this to work is men to become men again. Okay, that means a man takes control and responsibility of his house, and he makes sure his house is in order, meaning his wife and children are taken care of. So if every man just focused on his own house, made sure he was living comfortably, worked hard, got a nice living. By the way, there would be no tax. That'd go. No licensing. That'd go. That's all gone. So you work, you get paid 100% of what you earn. It's yours to keep and yours to spend. You are responsible for your house. You're responsible for your wife and children. Now, if every man just did that and got on with their own individual lives, just visualize that. You'd have millions of men all over a land mass just living peacefully, just getting to work, enjoying life. There'd be no wars. There'd be no violence. There'd be no organized crime. That wouldn't exist because it only exists because of government, because government tries to ban things. So let's say, for example, you were a person who wanted to partake in a certain weed or something and you wished to smoke it, you would be free to do so and no one could stop you. But it comes back to responsibility. So that means every man is responsible for himself, and every man is going to work hard to get a good name for himself. This is the key. We used to do this hundreds of years ago. This is how it's supposed to work. A man is supposed to create a good name for himself. So everyone trusts him and respects him, and therefore are open to enter into a contract with him because he is credible. So once you've got that, that's the 3D world, okay? Then that's where this comes into play. So we can use blockchain and technology like that to enter into contracts. So, because there's always going to be contracts, people want to buy things and sell things. So how do you buy and sell houses and all the rest of it? Well, if you've digitized the original documentation and you've put it on the blockchain, then anyone can check that you are the rightful owner of said property. It's quite easy to do. So if someone wants to sell a property, then it's only between those two people. And they can use this technology to do the transaction. And if there's a discrepancy, then this is where a court comes into play, because people have forgotten about courts. A court is supposed to be held by a sovereign. That's a living, breathing man or woman. Now, this is how a court should work. A court can only exist if there's a living, breathing man or woman using their name to create the court. This is very important that people need to understand, because people say, oh, I'm summoned to court. And you know, whose court is it? And they don't know. So, oh, just court. Because it's got no legal standing then. See, people don't understand what legal standing means. Legal standing means legal contract. Standing means a man or a woman standing by the contract. That's what it means. There's got to be a name. So if you're being summoned to court, you need to know the name of the person who's summoning you to court. And then if it's a genuine claim, you go, fine, I'll go along. You go there, there'll be two sovereigns in that courtroom, and you'll have a jury of 12, and they will make the decision on who's right and who's wrong. And we can now use modern technology to prove stuff. It's no longer hearsay anymore. So it's not like, oh, he said this and he said that. No, here you go. Here you go. There'll be a judge in there, but he won't be a judge. I don't like using that word because he's not actually judging anyone. It's like a referee. So there'll be a referee in that courtroom. And you go, here you go. Here's my evidence. And Your Honor, whatever, judge. And then the judge would submit that to the jury, and the jury would then see all the images on the screen of what's on the card, of what's gone on, and they can make the determination of who's right and who's wrong. Very powerful. It cuts the corruption dead. I don't even see how you could put corruption into it, because everything's on the blockchain. It's like,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah, you can't do fraudulent documentation anymore because you put it on the blockchain.
No.
And if you put an affidavit on there, you're done. You'd be incriminating yourself. So,
yeah,
very powerful. But that's the way I see it. It's people living their lives, interacting on that sort of level, and then using this technology for transferring goods, entering into contracts. And if there's a discrepancy or disagreement, then this is where this steps in, and a jury of 12 can have a look at it for themselves, and then they can make the determination. That is so simple.
Yes, it is beautifully simple. That's why this project is so exciting, because it is so damn simple. It's just going back to having a key, but the card is so secure. It's a real key. And you could even go further. You don't need a judge, because the blockchain itself will be the judge, the adjudicator. So you could actually do this whole thing online anyway. You don't have to be in the room. The blockchain could select a jury at random, and they could look at the case on their phone and then vote with their card. It's all done. So the judge is not needed. The blockchain itself becomes the judge or the adjudicator. But would you call that then a sovereign dominion? Because see, my idea is people now, again, because to join this network, you have to create your identity. That means you're essentially putting your name on the line. So criminals will not want to join for that very reason. They're just not going to be, I don't want to join that, because you can't cheat anymore. So it's a holy grail. To me, to my mind, it's a holy grail, the most trusted network ever to be created. We've never had a network of such high level trust ever before. We all tried to have it, but we can't make it. This, I think, is the answer. So because everyone on this network will be a sovereign, would that be a sovereign dominion? Or tell us what you think. What is a sovereign dominion? Right in thinking.
Okay. Now, we've got to understand what the word dominion means. Okay. So dominion means full and total control. In other words, within my dominion, I have first title and I have full control within that dominion, and everything within it is under my rule, and they must follow what I say because I am the author of my law within my dominion. This is where the word freedom comes from, free in my dominion. So within my dominion, my land, my castle, my house. Now, dominion is lost when it is shared. This is what people have got to understand. This is, see, a lot of people go, oh, I want to go into a trust. Well, I say, well, that means you've got to give up your dominion then. As soon as there's another party involved, there's two parties, you can't have dominion because it's shared. As soon as something is shared, you lose dominion. You can open a trust, but if you are just a beneficiary, then you are definitely not sovereign at that point because someone else is administrating the trust, and they're usually also executive of the trust. They have control if you're just a beneficiary. So that's the simplest way, is as soon as you add a second party to it, you lose dominion. Now, the way I would say is I would just call it a network. You can call it a sovereign network. So only sovereigns can use it, which is a living, breathing, but it's not a dominion because everyone's using it. We're all sharing the network, if that makes sense. Now, I just want to also touch on, we've done the ID cards and everything. I know you just mentioned earlier that you could use the technology where people could use their phones. Now, I would just point out one little area is that there's three things that I see that makes this absolutely foolproof. You've got the NFT, that's the technology, right? You've got the paperwork that's been written by the living person, okay? That's the paperwork, the affidavit. But then you've actually got the living, breathing man or woman themselves. You've got to have all three together to prove there's no corruption. So I would suggest that if there's going to be a court decision, then that living man has to be in that room, and the 12 jury have to be in that room because they all stand by their own affidavits and oaths. So all three together, okay. Yeah. Because if you're on a phone, we know how AI works. We all know deep fake, and we all know that. You see, I do like the idea of the phone because what I would do is that would not be the jury or the two people in dispute because they would be in the room themselves, but anyone could watch it. That makes it an open court and a court of record. So anyone can log in. So let's say it's a big case. It could be a murder trial. I don't know. And everyone wants to watch it. Well, you have the right as a sovereign to use the network, get your phone and say, I want to watch exactly what's going on. Because that's only how a fair court works, if it's an open court and a court of record, which is not what we've got in the legal system because they won't let you even film anything anymore. And you go, okay, that makes it a star chamber then, doesn't it? If I can't even record in it anymore and I can't have witnesses. But that's what I would say. Yeah. So I think living man, paperwork, and blockchain, all three together, I can't see how you're going to defraud that unless you clone somebody or something. But we'll you know, whatever. Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. But I would say, don't forget, the phones, I'm talking about our phones, not anyone else's phones. Our phones would be unhackable, unbreakable, and totally private. So that is what's so exciting. The communication, the internet that we'd be using, there is no way in. There is no data being stolen. No data will come out. No one can hack in. It is purely this private sovereign, or let's call it a sovereign digital network then. But the reason I was talking about Dominion, the reason I called it Dominion, because there was a guy, I listened to all of Richard Vogue's Lawful Remedies shows over and over and over, and you've been on a lot of those. And there was a guy, I think it was Gary, a northern guy, and he was talking about a sovereign dominion because he's saying, the reason I brought this up is, again, there's two things we've got to do here, as far as I see it. One thing is we've got to build a new system, and that system must be so good that everyone can see, well, that's just the damn best system I've ever can see. Of course, we'll join it. But at the same time, we do have to topple the old system. I know that there's a school of thought that says, forget about the old system, let's just build the new one, focus on the positive. But I think that's not enough because the old system is doing, well, you're talking about organized crime. The old system is organized crime. That's what it is. And they're doing terrible criminal things to us. And we have to put a stop to it. We actually have to do something to stop them. And how the hell do we do that? We can't do anything with any real power to stop the system until we've established ourselves. Like you said, when there's numbers are there, then we can do something.
Yes.
So my idea is this network, this sovereign digital network, we'll be able to communicate, we'll be able to plan, strategies privately, and then initiate them through this network, because no one can read it, no one can get in, no one can hack it. And again, the idea this guy Gary was saying, you need a sovereign dominion because everyone has got the same mindset, the same ideas. And it's like, I mean, the way I'm imagining it, it's like you've got the power of a nation. And once you've got that many people, then that is something that can go against the system, because we got 100,000 signatures from 100,000 sovereigns, all have the same idea. Now, that is a single unit that can be used to fight back. We can issue people's arrest warrants. We can actually do stuff. So that's in my idea. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but is that idea a good idea, what I just said?
Yes,
Using this,
yes.
that's why I put a sovereign dominion. But maybe we don't need to call it that.
Yeah,
But
can't
it's
call it
like a
sovereign dominion.
shared value. Can't call it that.
No, it's like I say, I like the word network.
Network. Okay.
Because
Sovereign digital
obviously,
network.
yeah, that's what I would call it, sovereign digital network for the use of sovereigns. So
Yeah.
the power must always stay with the individual. So whenever you see anything that waters down the individuality of somebody and turns them into part of the collective, that's a slippery slope. So this is why I always say, I don't want followers. Don't follow me. Don't follow me. I want people to
I know.
stand by my side with equal standing, look them in the eyes, shake their hands as equals. I only want equals. I don't want followers. So when you say about the signature stuff en masse, it has to be done on an individual basis using
Yeah.
the individual sovereign, but using the network because we're all doing it together, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Not
Okay. Yes.
a petition, because that never works. Don't do a petition, because if you do a petition, that accepts obligation. You've lost the game already. And so it's not like someone who's lazy and go, oh, can I just sign that and be part of the group? And I go, no, there's no group. There's no collective. You're doing this on your own, but you're part of a network of 100,000 other sovereigns who we can all talk to each other, and we're all doing it together using our own individual house, individual name. That is power. Become the swarm is, I think I mentioned this earlier. I was in another podcast this morning, and I was trying to explain the power of the swarm. So, as an individual sovereign, just by yourself, think of it like a bumblebee, and you're flying around collecting honey, and then a big bear comes up and just squashes you with the thumb, right? There's nothing you can do. But if you fly back to the nest and then all the other bees are all sovereigns and you explain what's going on and you use the bee network, and then all those sovereign bees come out after the bear's legging it. And that's what we have to become. So the problem is with any sort of movement, there's always like a group leader, isn't there? Throughout history, there's always been a group leader. So what do? What does the opposing side do? Take the leader out. And then the rest of the followers don't know what to do. Oh, we don't know what to follow now. The leader's dead. So we have to stop that. We've got to stop this revolution. It's called a revolution because it keeps going round and round and round again because no one learns how to do, what they're doing is wrong. So everyone's got to take responsibility for their own house, their own name, do it on their own, but be part of the network. And that's why I said the fraternity, the sovereign fraternity, be part of the fraternity. I don't control it. It controls its own thing. it's decentralized. I give it away. So if a sovereign says, I will stand by my fellow sovereign man to protect my house, and I'll protect your house, and you protect your house. We're all going to work together to protect our individual houses. So I think that is the way we should do it. Whether or not there's enough men left on this planet, I don't know. I'm calling all men right now and says, look, if you want to take control of your house and create your own name, get in contact. If we can get enough men who want to do this, because at the end of the day, men are supposed to protect women and children anyway. But you might have noticed that the women have to stand up and protect themselves because there's no men left to protect the women. So sad times, actually. It just shows you how bad the culture of man has fallen. And we've got to rebuild that. So, yeah, I mean, technology is one thing and I love it, but it's also a mindset thing. It's also a morality thing. It's a cultural thing. There's a lot of learning we've got to educate a lot of people to do and bring them up. It's a lot of work.
Well,
Yes.
this is again my theory about this project, because although it's immediately useful for the sovereigns because we're the ones that understand why this privacy is important, most people don't even understand why it's important. But if we build it, it also will appeal to everyone they're not even thinking about sovereign. They don't know what it is, but they see, oh, what's this new blockchain project? And once they look at it, they think, okay, these guys are living in a different way. They've got a different idea. So it's another way of getting that information out there. Telling people what it means to be sovereign. And yes, we can all do it.
Yeah.
But let me go, before we go any further, let me still go a little bit backwards, because you said we don't need any councils. Now, in my idea, how I thought this structure might work, because we've got the ability to create individual identities and authentic ones, so we can build structures, cooperatives if we wanted to. So to my mind, the whole system might be organized like this. A small town, you might have a little council that just looks after the day-to-day running of the town. But everyone has got one of these cards, so they're all authentic people, and everyone in the town has voted, correctly. They've chosen them, and it's done lawfully because a contract is made. So the council members are literally just tasked with a job to do from the people. They can only answer to the people who've put them in that position. Like a trust, we might make a trust. The council are the trustees, but the people were the executors and the beneficiaries. So it's a sort of like the way government might is supposed to have been. And then you could have bigger ones for bigger towns or bigger cities, and then maybe get together bigger ones for countries. But it's still all built up. They only answer to the people below them. They never answer to the higher governments. It's like now everyone answers to the globalists, and it filters down. And no one at the bottom has got anything to say. It all comes from the top down. But it's purely practical, administrative. It's not actually any power. It's just you have a few people in your town to look after the day-to-day things, getting the power in, the water in, cleaning the streets, whatever it is, and they can do it however they want to do it.
Well,
And this
think about
system
it
would
for a minute.
allow anyone to create whatever system they need.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking about logistics because of
Yeah.
how much complicated things going on in the world. Do we
Well,
really need them?
don't
I mean,
need.
I know we don't, because there's ancient philosophy, ancient, what do you call them? Civilizations live by the golden rule. There was one in Ireland, wasn't there? Do you know that civilization in
Yes.
Ireland goes back to BC? They lived 1,000 years just with the golden rule. You don't do
Mm-hmm.
not harm anyone. And they had no law, no government, no nothing.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
but
you've got
do
to
you
think
think,
about it.
I mean, that
Yeah.
idea of creating, and again, you could create a court. So you could have a court in your town. Again, a court, yes, you said, has got to be called by the person,
Yeah. Living,
but then
breathing.
there could be a room, just a place there, it's organized, and you might have a so-called judge who's just a referee, but they're authentic from their card.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have the other thing I was thinking, you could have something to make this even more important is not important, but you could have not only an affidavit of who you are, but an affidavit of character. That's what I was thinking. An affidavit of character saying that not only I am who I am, but I am an honest person and I'm trying to follow the natural law. And I've got witnesses that say I'm a good person. I've done business with them for 20 years and they say, yeah, this guy is above board. So I've got not only that, I've got an affidavit of character saying that I am a good person. And so if people are doing this job of a council member, they'd have to have this sort of level of, all right, everyone likes this guy, they're honorable. Okay, we trust them to do that job. Or do you think even that is unnecessary? We don't even
It's all
need that level
unnecessary.
of
No,
organization. Don't even need that.
don't even need that. If you think about it, just think about what does the council offer that I even want? Look at the council now. What do? Wreck up the roads, put speed bumps everywhere. They don't fill up the potholes. They put bus lanes in. They put ULEZ cameras everywhere. They're putting speed cameras everywhere. They're finding people left, right, and centre. They're closing roads, they're deliberately creating traffic on purpose, making life miserable for the motorist. They're making the motorist more expensive, putting parking tickets everywhere and yellow lines and all that. I don't want that. So the services that so-called council
No,
provides, I don't need any of it. I mean, let's say education. Why do I want a council involved in education? Again, this is what responsibility means. The man chooses. So if the man wants to educate his children, then it's up to him. So we all look around at private schools, see which ones are the best, see which ones have been producing the most intelligent children, and then go along to the school and says, right, you can educate my child. How much is it going to cost me a year? And you go, yeah, okay, 3,000 a year, whatever. Fine, not a problem. Same with hospitals. Why do I need councils or even government in hospitals? We know the damage that hospitals are causing. They get everything wrong. They will not tell you the truth about cancer at all, that it can be easily reversed, and diabetes. They feed you toxic food. They're injecting you with toxins. All the medicines is dangerous. The antibiotics is killing you. Antibiotic means it's death. Why do I want that? And no, so I want that gone. So again, a man who's responsible for his own life is responsible for his own health, and he decides which doctor he wants to choose if he has something wrong with him. This is called responsibility. If you go down the whole row of it, all of it, you'll find I have no need for councils whatsoever. And they go, oh, who will? This is the classic one. They'll say, well, who will maintain the roads? And you go, do your history. Go and look at the history. Roads began before governments took control of it. It was trailblazers that made the roads. They were private. And you go, what about street lighting? Again, private. It was actually businesses that put the first street lights up because they had the wealth. So this is how it works. If you've got a row of shops in a town and they're making money, then they will want to keep that street clean so they get more customers. They would want it lit, so they pay for the street lighting. Not councils. You don't need the councils. The businessmen do it.
Well,
so all of that goes in the bin.
That's right. I understand that. But so the people of the village will have to choose the company to put the streetlights up. They'll have to make a selection. Which company do we choose? So what you're saying is they just have to have a meeting. They'll have to have like a village meeting, all sit down and say, look, we need some new streetlights. Someone's found a few companies. This is the one we'll choose.
No. You don't even have to do that. No collectivism's needed. The business people do it. So let's say the street of the shops. Nothing to do with me. They can decide. So they can put out that they can be a collective because they're businessmen. Or just say 100 shops. And they all say, you know what, we could do with some street lighting here. And they, yes, it's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's put that contract out. And let's see if we get some other businesses coming up and see what's the best deal. And you will get the best, cheapest deal like that. That's how the free market works. If you get the council involved, they will rip you off. And you'll find it's going to be 100 times more expensive. And the lights are put in are going to be LEDs, which no one wants. They're blinding you and all the blue light. Why do I want blue light? Give me some decent. There'll be horrible, ugly things. I don't want that. I want some nice, elegant, like in the past. But if the businessmen are paying for it, they'll get top quality. And then they will put that contract out to tender. Now, let's say the street lighting outside my house. Well, I actually pay. I actually got a light outside my house, and that's my private light. I put that out there. My electricity pays for it because I wanted to put extra street lighting. So I just did that. So there's an actual light at the end of my house. It's on a brick pillar, and there's a light on the top. So if the light outside on the street light fails, what have I got? I've got a stupid council, haven't I? And I've got to phone them up, and I've got to be put on hold for an hour and a half, and they'll never come out. I might as well just pay and get it fixed. So if my street light fails, I'll just pay someone, go fix it for me. Because I just want it done. In fact, we had a little bit of graffiti at the corner of my street. This area where I live is really nice. And there was this little bit of graffiti. And I thought, oh, can I phone the council up? Not going to even bother. And I got myself some green paint, painted it over, got rid of the graffiti. Cost me 10 quid. Whoopie-doo. So people just want to do that. People need to be proactive. By the way, people are doing this with potholes. People are realizing that the council's not going to fix it. So I'm going to do it then. So it's men taking control. So, and also, if I paid for that street, I want it maintained, and I will pay the people to maintain it. I'll have a direct contract with them using NFT card. And if they don't provide, I'll switch contracts. I'll go, all right, I'll get someone else to do it then. You've just lost the contract now. But the trouble with governments is you can't do that. They've got a monopoly on it. And as soon as you've got a monopoly, you've lost. So it's funny how the government says they have a monopolies commission to stop monopolies. Monopolies themselves. But anyway.
Well, this is it. They've got to pretend that they're doing what we want. They've got to pretend they're doing what we want. I'll just one last thought, because this is an actual story that happened to me. So my father So we ran a workshop. My father ran a workshop in a community of workshops. And the council was charging us a ridiculous amount to look after the workshops. And he just said, look, we could do this ourselves. We just all chip in 20 quid a month each, and we got a janitor look after the place, and my dad paid him. The trouble is, no one would pay their 20 quid a month. And my dad is spending so long going around to each unit. Can I have my 20 quid? Can I have my 20? Look, it's only 20. The council was charging them 3, 4, 500 quid a month or something stupid for nothing. But nobody, only 5 or 6 people out of the 10 units actually paid him. And then you'd get people that never paid. And then everyone complained, well, these guys had never paid. How come they're getting it? And then he just gave up and said, look, screw this, just go back. They just let them go back to the council. They will have to pay their 500 quid and get nothing. So the problem is people do not have the sovereign mentality. So if there's one of you, there's one Pete in your street, everyone else in the street is a lazy bugger, you'll end up looking after everyone. And we don't want that to happen either. So, and it's not fair on you to be the one giving everyone a kick up the backside. Come on, let's tidy the street up now.
I'll tell you what I'd do.
That's the only reason you would do that.
I would move. If I was in the street,
okay.
I would go, I'm gone. I'd sell up and move to an area where there are sovereigns. The sovereigns would all group together as part of the network.
Yeah.
See? And that's how it's put it. Look, take a look at it this way. Have you heard of gated community? This is where rich people live. So they live in really nice houses, and they have a gated community, and they have a security guard and a gate, and they have cleaners and people who tend it, and that works perfectly. That's private. So it can be done. Now, if you've got, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about average plebs out there who are not responsible. So they're not got a job, they're on benefits, can't be bothered, smoking weed or whatever like that. Yeah, they're lazy. Okay, well, I don't want to live in an area like that. I'll move somewhere posh with a whole load of other sovereigns. And I don't mind paying for someone to sweep my roads once a month. Privately, private contract. And I'll know the guy's name. I'll know the name of the security guard by name. I'll know, his wife and all the rest of it. And go, hello, Bob, how you doing, mate? As I'm driving me Bentley out the gated community. And then Bob will tip his hat. How you doing, mate? And I go, yeah, okay. Send my best wishes to the wife. That's how it works. Think of it like, have you ever seen that film, Copland, with Stallone, where all the cops lived in their own area? Everything was perfect. But anyway, it's like the mafia. You know, the rich mafia, and they live in a nice. Do you think they bother? No, you've got no crime in those areas. It's all nice and clean and swept up. So yeah, this is the problem: is that you're sort of like looking at how society is now. I don't like using the word society, but I'll just use it for this conversation. You look at how society is now. Most people are irresponsible, lazy people. You can't save them. If they don't want to chip in, fine, you're going without. I'm not paying for you. So we just got to be brutal. That's what the sovereign would do. The sovereign says, look, I'm looking after my house. I'll look after my piece of street. I've swept the street outside my house. I don't like, I trim the weeds. So past my driveway, I'll put some weed killer down all the way to the road itself, and I'll just sweep that up. In fact, most of the people do in this particular street. So I think we get 2 visits a year by the council to clean the streets. But why am I paying for that? Yeah, so you've got to live in a good community. So the way I see it, if you live in a nice village with responsible people and a nice economy and big houses and everyone's getting along, it figures itself out. You know, it really does. The rich people, the rich people used to build the roads, and they got to name the roads. And that's why if you go into London, you'll see Frederick Street. Yeah, because Fred built that. He paid for it because he wanted to travel from his house to his place of work, but he didn't want to walk in the mud. So he built the road. He let everyone use it, and everyone loved him for it. So, oh, Fred, thank you very much. I don't have to walk in the mud because of you. And now I'm going to go in your shop and I'm going to buy your goods because you built me a road. It's how it works. So, 99% of people are irresponsible. Yeah, we're on the brink. We are absolutely on the brink of humanity becoming extinct, because there's very few people who are responsible for their own lives and will say, I will take care of it. There's very few people who do that. I mean, I do agree with you on that. So there's a lot of work ahead of us, mate.
But it
This is
does
not going to
sound,
be
it
easy.
does sound, yeah. Well, Pete, it does sound, what you're telling me there is very, very simple. That to me is very good news. Essentially, if you're a sovereign, that's the be all and end all, and that makes it ever so simple.
Yes.
Um, and that to me is very, very, very good news. And that what you talked about is a gated community, but of course we're living internationally now, and
Yeah.
the sovereigns are dotted all around the world in different places. So you can't all get them together into gated community.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that's why I was talking about this network. This network is the sovereign gated community. But it's a digital gated community
Mm-hmm.
through this authentication system. Um, and there's no one controlling it. There's no government, no nothing. It's purely the mathematics of the blockchain. That's it. Okay, so to me that's brilliant, brilliant news. Now, the next question I want to bring to you is about money,
Mm.
because we've got this blockchain, we can create our own money. We can create our own money. Now, um, I think we've got to do something very clever and not even call it money, because the moment we start calling it money, then of course the system is going to come looking. They investigate all the blockchains and all this stuff. If we get big, they'll come knocking on our door. Where's our tax? You're doing finances. And I'd like to be able to set this business up. This
Mm.
whole thing is big business. You know, what we're doing, if this goes global, it's huge business. But I want to set this up in the beginning that it's not a corporation. We never, ever, Entify never steps into the corporate world. Now, it's a bit complicated because we need machinery, and that's made by Nicholas, the inventor. He's already a corporation. But we, as Entify, could still be an independent, private organization, for want of a better word, that we purchase it from a corporation, but once it's in our system, it's gone. It's independent now.
Okay.
So then the money that we create, we've got to call it something clever. So I mean, I thought again, it's not money, it's a token of our reputation. Tokens of our reputation. So that's one thought I had.
Okay.
And the other thought I had, which I want to run by you right now, because it's such a radical idea. I want to see what you make of it. But
Mm.
we could create. Oh well, you're gone. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yep. You just
I think
were a
you're
little bit
frozen.
blocky there. I think we just lost a little
Well, I'll
bit of
keep
you.
going and assuming you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. You've frozen, and I can just hear you, but you were
Oh
just
yeah.
a bit blocky. You were just breaking up there. You're
Oh yeah.
back.
Okay. You're frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Is it
I'll go slowly again.
okay?
Yeah. I think. Ah, here we go. See, I think. Okay. There's. Um, we can create a new type of money, and I think we can do something very, very clever, and we can
Mhm.
change everyone's idea about what money is from the very beginning. So the first thing I was saying, instead of calling it money, well, okay, let's go back another step. We know gold and silver is real money, and I know
Yes.
you know that. And in the system, as I talked about, we could create a method of authenticating gold and silver. So I'm talking about, we've got NFTs, we could have NFGs, non-fungible gold. So this would be a system where you create a gold bar and you could print on it a pattern, like say wood
Hmm.
grain, a unique pattern on that gold bar. That is then photographed or scanned. It goes onto an NFT that goes onto the chip, and the chip is then attached to the gold bar and encased in resin. Now you've got a piece of gold that is perfectly authentic wherever you take it. Because otherwise, you know, when you take gold out of the bullion place, it immediately loses value because you cannot prove its authenticity anymore. That's the big problem with gold. How, you know, you bite the coin, is that real or not? This way,
Okay.
we could go back to using gold and silver, but it would be perfectly authentic. And we got a traceable gold bar. We'll know who owned each individual gold bar all the way back through its history. So we will have perfect gold and silver money. We can have that. And that's clever because we wouldn't be doing any finances. So the government wouldn't come looking for us. No, no, we don't do money. We're just providing a method of authenticating gold. That's the money, not us. But we still could create a token. You see, because it's a blockchain, we can have our money, a token in there, so we can exchange tokens between the sovereigns, and we could create something very clever with this money. And I'm thinking about trying to create an abundance model. It changes the whole thing on its head. So it's more like a game because we've got to get people interested in this, started engaging in it. We need to
Hmm.
stimulate exchanges of the token. That's how it works. People have got to use it, start sending tokens back and forth. And that's the big problem with blockchain is people create a new blockchain, but nobody uses it. It's all clever, but no one uses it, and then it just fizzles out.
Yeah.
But let's imagine an abundance model. Say, for example, when you join the network, so there's no money in it yet. The money is created as people join. So say you
Hmm.
create your identity, after you join, you get 100,000 tokens given to you. So that's like your first pot of money given to you. So already that's interesting. All right, I sign up, I got my money. But the money can only be used in the system. So we could call it a token of reputation. We could also call it a token of gratitude. That's what I thought of. So we're not
Hmm.
doing business. We're giving things away for free. I give you this thing for free, but in exchange, you give me a token of gratitude. It's not business. Anyway, let me give you this idea. See what you think of this. So we get given some tokens as you start, and then say you want to buy something in the system. So say someone has produced an artwork and you want to buy it. So I go to the person, I want to buy your artwork, and I'll buy it with these tokens. But I do not spend my tokens. So here's the thing. So if I buy the artwork from that person, the tokens are created. So the tokens are created, go to the person selling the artwork, so they get paid for it, but I haven't spent my money. So it's a free abundance game. Start buying what you want because you're not spending your money. Now we have to put a few little caveats in there. So maybe only the first transaction is like that. So you don't just go back and forth between two friends creating money and getting rich. But
Hmm.
it stimulates you to go and buy things within the system. It also means that only people are going to sell things that they are happy to give away for free because they're not getting paid in fiat currency for it. So in the beginning, it's going to be limited, but people might offer a service for free, but in exchange for that service, money is created for you. So this is the way the tokens are created bit by bit by bit. And we'll have a total number of tokens that it will go up to. So I'm thinking of a number 4.2 trillion tokens is in my head. I've got a particular number in mind. And as the tokens are created more and more and more, it slows down. So say you're halfway up there. Now, if you want to buy something, you have to spend 50% of your tokens that you got, but 50% will be created by the system. So it's like you're buying everything for half price. At the beginning, you're buying everything for free, so people get excited. As you go along, you're buying it for half price. And as the tokens reach the limit of their creation, you're paying more and more and less are created. So the idea being is it gets people going, gets the whole thing going. Yeah, this is abundance game. Everything is free. We're doing it for free. It's nice. And then slowly we're adopting the system and it's moving. Um, so it's more like a game to stimulate this transactions between sovereigns. Now, again, it's not yet real money because people can't translate that into anything else. But when the network gets big enough, when you've got plumbers in there, when you've got builders in there, you've got supermarket grocers in there, not supermarkets, sorry. When you've got all sorts of tradesmen in there, they can be now we've got a network where this money could actually work in exchange for things. So it's going to gradually become a useful real currency. But I have a feeling we have to do this like a new type of crypto. If we want to create a real money, I think we cannot ever exchange it back for the old money. See, the old money, fiat currency, is fake money. It's got a funny game going on, a fake game. And even the other cryptos, essentially all other cryptos as they are still really just fiat currency because everyone is trading crypto to increase their dollars. They're still going back to dollars. We need to have a
Yeah.
whole nother system that is completely independent. And I suspect we can't trade the real money for the fake money. So we've got to create a closed system. And I wanted to put that idea to you to see if any ideas pop in your head right now with what I said. It's just an
Yeah.
idea. I could be completely wrong
Okay.
about this. I'm trying to think outside the box. How could we
That's fine.
create a new system of money. So what's your thoughts on that?
Now, the way I see it, everything has to be decentralized. And of course, the sovereign has the right to use any money he chooses. So we have to accept that. You can't violate a person's rights. So they have the right to choose whatever they wish. We have to just touch on the basics of what money is. It's very simple to understand. The reason why gold and silver are money, because they're decentralized. Gold and silver requires two components, which is the intrinsic value of the metal itself and a person's labor. So someone has to dig it out the ground, melt it into a coin. That's the labor. So that becomes money. Now, money itself is used on one side of a transaction within a barter system. So what does that mean? So normally in a barter system, people are swapping all sorts of things, you know, a pen for a cup and a hat for a shoe or whatever. That's a barter system. But then when one side of that trade in that barter system becomes one dominant money, i.e. gold, and that is used within a local economy, that's when it becomes money. Now, one of the things, I know what people are trying to do at the minute is they're trying to avoid saying, I've bought something, I've sold something, all this sort of stuff, because they think it brings on the government. Now, technically, yeah, you'll get some bureaucratic nonsense letters and all the rest of it. You could get that. But here's the truth, is that is their system of commerce, not yours. So commerce itself is open source. So anyone can set up their own individual system of commerce. I can say, no, I've got my own system of commerce. I'm not using the government's one. What evidence do you have that I'm using the government system of commerce? So people have got to think of the sovereign mindset. So it's like with tax. Tax is voluntary. We all know that. And it's contractual. You cannot be forced to pay tax. So if someone says to you, get a bill for tax or whatever, you say, well, hang on a minute, I'm going to need to see the original contract, I'm going to need to see the original order, and I'm going to need to see the invoice that's created this bill. If you can't do that, then you are applying a contract upon me where there is no contract. That makes it tortuous, and I'll have to sue you. Remember I was talking about the swarm? You get 100,000 sovereigns all thinking like that. That's it. Taxman goes away. It's not even an issue. It's a non-issue anymore. As soon as you know that, it says, okay, we can just go back to calling it buying and selling. We don't have to avoid that at all anymore. Because yeah, I can buy, I can sell, but I'm not in their system of operating in their system of commerce. Remember, their system of commerce uses the surname. Well, I'm not using the surname. We've got my affidavit now, haven't I? I've got an affidavit and I've got my NFT card. So when I'm buying and selling, it's my name I'm using, the sovereign name, the living name, not using theirs. That's how they trick you. You can only be tricked into paying tax if you use their surname that they've given you. If you don't use it, then you're not liable for tax. So that simplifies it a bit. Now, what I do like is gold and silver, as you know. Now, I suggested that there should be different forms of money depending on the transaction that's going on. Now, for smaller things, I like silver coins, for example. But even that is worth almost 30 quid. So it's a bit much than to buy a cup of coffee, for example. But we now have the technology to do gold-backed notes. So we can actually make, yeah. So you know those. So you've got gold back, we can do silver backs, and we do copper backs. So you can have that replaces those just to use, just for day-to-day stuff, simple stuff. Because if you want to go and buy a coffee in a newspaper, you really don't want to be getting your phone out and typing out what's your Bitcoin code. And no, you just want to go, yeah, keep change. Simple. So I suggested that sort of money for low-level stuff. Big level stuff, if you're buying cars or something, then you can use gold and silver. And that's where I think this comes into play, because then you can prove the transaction. And I do like using crypto, although you did mention this, is it's not easy to use. That's what's missing in the crypto world is ease of use. But crypto is good if you want to buy overseas, you know, because where there's a lack of trust or you don't know that person. Because obviously, if you're selling a car, you're normally with the person. Yeah. So this is where your NFT system gold-backed stuff could come into play, because you could then do like big transactions overseas, globally. That's what's missing. I know there's cryptos out there, Bitcoin, Monero, and all the rest of it, but it's not easy to use. The average person gets all confused and so whatever we come up with on that level has to be simple. It's got to be like Apple Car Pay. When you just Apple Pay, sorry, not Car Pay, Apple Pay. So you just use your mobile phone and tap, and it's pay. It's got to be Homer Simpson simple, but it's got to be super, super secure. So that's the way I see it. And I just believe that the average sovereign, he can choose the money he wants to use. He can even use fiat. Oh, yeah, one last thing. You can't put a restriction on money because it ceases to become money at that point. So, for example, if you pay somebody, they do some work for you and you pay them, you can't turn around and say, you can't use that to buy drugs or you can't use that to gamble. It ceases to become money at that point because you've now put a contract on that guy. It's contractual. So even though I like the idea you said that you can't transfer it back into fiat, the person has to have that right, unfortunately, because you can't say, well, you can't transfer it back into fiat because then it stops being money and no one will want to use it. So there can't be any restrictions on it. As soon as you put restrictions on money, it becomes central bank digital currency at that point. And that's the thing with this silver coin. I can pay stuff with this, and there's no restrictions. I give it to the person. He's got a lordly title, hasn't he? No restrictions. I can't say to him, "Oh, you can't buy hookers and blow with this." No, I've given it to him. He can do what he wants with it. So that's the power of money. This is why the government wants to bring in central bank digital currencies. They control you on how you can spend it. It's not money then. It's a token. It's a ration card under someone's authority. So again, it's got to be free. And so when I say free, it's got to be free to use and there's got to be no restrictions. So that's one thing. So if you put rules in place, I mean, you could do that idea is yours.
Broken up a bit there. I didn't quite.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, if you put rules in place of how to use a crypto, then it stops being money. But you could use it, you call it like a game. So it could be used for people who are into that sort of stuff. And people are like, oh, yeah, I'll have a go at this. So, but yeah, that's the problem with it. If you put restrictions on it, then any restrictions and limitations on it, unfortunately, it ceases to become money at that point. And a sovereign wouldn't want it. Well, I wouldn't. Because I'll go, well, no, if I get money, I want to choose what I spend it on and how I use it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
And I should. Yeah, I do. That makes perfect sense. But that makes it simpler again. That makes it ever so simple. And I should say this card, it is also a crypto wallet. So not only we could have our own crypto, at the moment you've got Bitcoin on it, but we could put any cryptos on it. So you could have Bitcoin, Ethereum, we could have a selection of 10 cryptos on the card anyway. So you can choose any crypto you want to use. In addition, we could have our own one in time, have our own one. And I suppose what I was saying is it's not a restriction. I wasn't trying to put a restriction on the money. Sure. I was trying to make a point. And the point is, if you're going to change this real money for fiat currency, it's the fiat currency is not the real money. So how can you do that? That's my point.
Yes.
That was my question. It's only a question. I'm not sure about it. I've been thinking about that and I'm wondering, because that's what all crypto is doing. Crypto is changing for fiat, back and forth to fiat currency. And everyone is valuing crypto against the dollar. What's the point?
I know.
The only thing it should be valued against is, if anything, it should be the Bitcoin index. You value it against Bitcoin, because that's the first crypto. But they're valuing it against the dollar. What's the point of that? And if we then go back to value it against the dollar, what's the point of that? We've now still we've created a new system, but we've just connected it to the old system. That's my question. That's my thing. So I wasn't trying to put restrictions on it. I was just questioning, can we take it back to the old system or not? But what you're saying is we should have the choice to do whatever the hell we want to. If we want to take it back to fiat, then we can take it back to fiat. That should be our choice.
Yeah.
And that seems fair enough as well. That does seem fair enough.
Yeah, you can't put
so I understand that one.
I do have an idea. One thing that we can do, if we come up with a really good solution, it should be as close to inflation proof as possible. So while the dollar keeps crashing down, and we know it's being devalued at 20% per year
Yeah.
anyway, then the crypto, as you can see, cryptos are going up anyway, and gold's going up anyway. So what you'll find is people who are using the crypto system, their bank accounts on a crypto exchange or now wallet, the value will start going up in comparison to the fiat currency. So you'll find that people will just want to jump onto it. Now, there's one question I haven't been able to resolve, and maybe you could do this with Nicholas because I know he's a clever chap. What we have to do, even though I do not like the fiat system, I am on record saying I do not like these, I do not like using them. But that is unfortunately where the wealth is at the moment. And that's what all shops use. What we need at the moment, while we're building our system, is a bridge between the system that we're going to create and fiat. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say you've got one of these and, could have an app on it, whatever. I want to be able to use this like a credit card. But what I would be doing is it's actually got my Bitcoin address on. I just want to use Bitcoin, and it's got an amount on there. Now, if I walk into a shop, then what I would do, and I buy a coffee or whatever like that, and they say, have you got your card? And I'll go, yes. And I'll give them the card. And what will happen is that the card will automatically do the exchange. All right. So it will exchange Bitcoin to fiat, and then the shop will receive the fiat. So they think they've been paid in fiat, but I haven't paid them in fiat. What I've actually done is I've paid them in Bitcoin. Remember about what we talked about earlier about buying and selling and commerce and all the rest of it, right? I'm not doing that. What I'm actually doing is I'm offering a service to the shop. I'm actually paying in Bitcoin, which is private. You can't be taxed on Bitcoin. So I will spend Bitcoin, and then I will do a service for the shop, and I'll do a transaction, an exchange, and I'll convert it into fiat for them on the other side. So they receive the fiat, and vice versa. Let's say I want to be paid. So the shop or whatever, someone has given me a refund, they will refund me in fiat. The card then does the exchange, and I receive the Bitcoin on the other side. If there is someone out there in the crypto world smart enough to crack that, that's a game changer, because the average person can get behind that. That's the game changer.
Well, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. That was my original idea. That was my original idea.
Okay.
That was exactly it. It should be
That'd be perfect.
That converts. The only reason I changed it because I was thinking more and more about. Well, no, I tell a lie. Okay, yeah, we can have all that. We can certainly do that. That take a bit more time to do that, but I think it has been done. There are some people who have done it, so there's no reason why we can't do it. But maybe what I'm saying is, you can have all the other cryptos, so you can have all this link. But if we create our own one, the ENT token, Entify its own token, then maybe just that token is used to service the Entify network itself. Maybe just one token that is only servicing things in the network. And again, you see, we could be paid. You see, the network, I'll give you another idea. So the network is a big infrastructure. People will need to work for it. There will need to be workers, but they will all be decentralized. Now, the first job, again, I realize the first job is going to be help desk. People phone up. How do I make it work? So anyone in the network could take that job. They just need a phone and their card, and I'll say, yeah, I'll be and they know enough about it. So they might have one qualification phone call. Yeah, do you understand this? That yeah, okay, you can be a help desk person. So then they're on the list. If someone needs help, you call the blockchain assigns you to one of these people, and you talk to them. And if they're happy with it, then you said, yeah, I was happy, and then the network pays them. But it pays them from the ENT token itself. So the network has its own money that it pays the people that are working for it, but it's totally decentralized. There's no centralized set of people paying the people working for the system.
Like that.
So that could be the use of the ENT token. But I see what you're saying. So my very first idea was exactly what you just said. It should convert to fiat. So that means it's very practical. Anyone can use it to go anywhere, like a credit card. So that's very, very good. Now, we've gone on to about, I think, hour and a half now. So we've gone a long one. let me just change the subject once more,
Sure.
because the next question I've got for you, again, in building this system, is, again, we talked about how to create our identity, creating an affidavit. So we've got to do some paperwork. The
Yep.
next question is, if I'm setting up this system, the Entify network, it's quite a big thing, collecting a lot of people together. And my theory is we might have to create some paperwork for the whole system, i.e., saying Entify is a trust, and the people, the users, are the beneficiaries and the executors. Some sort of paperwork,
Yep.
maybe even like, I don't know, constitution, probably not the right word. But I had an
Yeah.
interesting chat with a guy. Yeah, but do we need to create some paperwork that sets up this thing outside the corporate world? So now anyone outside the corporate world, we can say, no, no, here's the paperwork for Entify. This whole network that we're building up is a statement here saying this is completely decentralized, self-sovereign, no authorities, only individuals. Some such paperwork we need to create, like a constitution, but maybe that's not the word. I can't think what it might be.
Mm-hmm.
And to my mind, that is one of the things I'm thinking about now. I'm thinking about my own paperwork. I've got some ideas about paperwork, and I've got some ideas about paperwork for this whole project. So when I come to that, we'll have to have another chat.
Sure.
But do you think we need some paperwork?
Yes.
Create some documentation that satisfies the legal system to keep them off our back.
Yes.
Um,
Now there's
and what would that be?
yeah.
To
Now
create an organization that's not a corporation.
right. Okay, let's touch on a corporation, for example. And what does corporation mean? It means dead body, okay? And it just basically means exists on a piece of paper, corporation, right? Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with that, as long as you know you are dealing with one. Okay, that's the trick. People don't know they're dealing with it, don't even know what a corporation is. Now, there's many different types of corporations. There's religious corporations, legal corporations, business corporations, court corporations. They just exist on paper. So you can set up a business corporation, you can call it the name of your company, and it is a corporation. You can't avoid it because the very act of you coming up with a name, then writing it down and saying, this is my business, creates a corporation.
Mm.
Now, a corporation normally is founded by a body of people. It can be set up by one man, like Henry Ford set up or founded the Ford Motor Corporation, but sometimes it's a body of men and women. Now, this is where it's lost. People don't understand. But what should happen is a body of men, if they're going to set up a corporation, they must sign it. So they put their name to it. So their name, their signature, their seal is part of the corporation itself, because the corporation has no authority. It has no legal standing unless a man or woman is standing by it, giving it legal standing. And if you've got a corporation and you don't know who the founding fathers of that corporation are, then it's got no legal standing. It's dead. But if you are honorable and you want to do something honorable, say, look, I am going to set up a corporation, but I'm going to stand by it because my name is upon it, my signature's upon it, and there's my affidavit. Then it has weight because everyone can then basically blame you if something goes wrong. Now, you spoke about a constitution. Well, you've got to understand, where do constitutions operate? Well, they actually operate in private members' associations, PMAs. That's where they live. So there's nothing particularly wrong with a constitution if you want to set up a PMA, as long as your members know what they're joining. So, for example, people should by now know what membership means. Membership means you're entering into an agreement with someone else, so there's now two parties. As long as they know that, there's no harm done. It's when they don't, that's the legal deception. So if you're honorable and you say, look, I have founded this corporation, there's my signature, there's my seal, I will swear an affidavit, I am the man behind it, I'm the one giving it legal standing. And then you'll say, I'm offering membership, and there's the constitution, because I'm going to set this corporation up, but I'm going to set it up as a PMA. And now you can set PMAs up as a trust. I've got some trust specialists that can help you with this if that's something you want to do. And you can set it up as a private trust, operating within your private dominion. We spoke about this earlier. And then people would then be free to be a member of your trust, your PMA, operating in your private dominion outside of the system of commerce, because you're not using your surname and your first and last names, the The legal side, you're doing your living, breathing. So legally, the system can't touch you because you haven't contracted with them.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, that makes it very simple.
Yes.
That makes it very simple. But there's one more level to this. One more level.
Go ahead.
Let me run this one by you. You see, again, the people are saying that there's no one higher than the sovereign except perhaps God, the universe, something above us.
Fine.
Now, I could argue that Entify is actually, it's pure mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blockchain. It's something non-physical. It's something else. It's a mathematics all by itself. And I could argue we can't create mathematics. No one created it.
No,
We've
that's right. You
discovered it.
can't. Correct.
You only discover
Correct.
mathematics.
Yes.
So now the organization, Entify, is actually run by mathematics that has not been created by anyone. Is whatever it is, it's an eternal cosmic thing. So that is already a higher jurisdiction than anything anyway. So
not quite.
would that make any difference? Would that make any difference? What? Tell me.
Not quite.
Give me your feedback on that.
Not
Give
quite.
me your feedback.
Yes. No, I get everything you said about maths and all the rest of it. Totally agree with you, 100%. You're spot on. But jurisdiction, no. The reason is only a living, breathing man or woman can have jurisdiction. And you go, why is that? Okay, jurisdiction basically means law speak. Now, the diction is the speak part, okay? Again, let's talk about legal standing. Why is it standing? Why is it so important to be standing? Well, you're only alive when you're standing. If you're dead, you're not going to be standing up. You'll be lying on the floor dead, okay? Meaning you have no legal standing because you're dead. Once you're gone, the legal standing goes. Your word goes. So only a living, breathing soul within the body can actually give law, speak law. And no maths, no algorithm, no AI is ever going to be higher than the soul of mankind. So, in fact, I'll go one step further. And I know people are religious and all the rest of it, but I say, you know what? Do you know what one thing that the gods fear? That's the will of man. Highest jurisdiction there is.
I understand. So essentially, that is still irrelevant. Yeah, I understand. So it's still irrelevant that it comes from the mathematics is I don't know, you could think of it as the source code of heaven. It still doesn't matter because we're the ones using it. So we're the ones still creating it. Therefore, we're the only ones that have got any power to do anything or any authority in it. Okay. So it still boils down to we still create it. We still are the ones putting a name to it. Okay, that makes it ever so simple again. Ever so simple.
Yeah.
Now, so let me think. What else can we say? Oh, the last thing. Okay, we better not go too long. But the last question is this: is what could be the first steps? So we got some ideas of how we could create a new system, what that system might be. We got some technology.
Yeah.
Now, okay, in my case, the first step is going to be trying to get this technology going. We're nearly there, by the way. The first batch of these, the routers are being made. They're being made for a group in Germany. There's another freedom movement there. They're just using them. They're not using the whole system. They just want those radio phones. You see, the three items could be used separately, but the way we're using these three items together makes it so special. We're the only ones doing this. So they're not using the identity card, for example.
Sure.
So anyway, but it means the first batch are being created. So we're going to have real proof of concept very soon, which means we can do something. And then the next thing I've got to do is write some paperwork, keep my ideas of how I can write some paperwork for myself and how I can write some paperwork for this business, this idea. But what do you see as the practical steps, little steps? What's the first little step do you think we could do to get this change happening? I mean, you're already doing something, but now you know there's some technology involved. And how could we use this technology to help get this whole thing going?
Right.
What could be our little step?
I know I'd like little steps. Well, I took the first step while setting up the Sovereign Project because it all starts with education. That's the key. So I have to
Yeah.
educate people. I've got to get rid of their slave mentality. They've got to become sovereign. They've got to attain the mindset. Then they've got to understand all this that we're talking about. Otherwise, they're no good. You know, you can give people these technologies, but if they don't even understand what they're doing or the importance behind it, like privacy, you spoke about that earlier. If they don't even realize why privacy is so important, they won't understand the technology. So, and of course, we've got to create the network. So, what I'm doing at the minute is creating the network, educating people. They're learning. A lot of these people are learning incredibly quickly, and I like to see that. So, I'm creating the network already of the people. Now, what we have to do, and when I say we, I you, because you're developing the technology, is to get it to a stage where it works fantastic. And then I'll have a membership of, I don't know, hopefully hundreds of thousands. And then we can offer this as a service to them. And then they will be receptive to it because they'll fully understand why it's so important. And then it will just snowball over time. So I think the key is not to say to people, we have the solutions and we have a new system, because sovereign goes, well, I'm escaping the system now. I don't want to get into another one. However, I would like some tools that I can use that are beneath my authority, that tools I can use to navigate the network. See, that's a different in the mindset, you see. Now, if we can do that,
I understand.
people will just come anyway, because I'm waiting for it now. I want my phone that's decentralized. I want this NFT card. I don't want a bank account. I want to be able to operate purely in crypto, but then the other side, they receive fiat, so I can go about my day and operate in the system all day long. And I don't care. They can't shut my bank account down because I ain't got one. So I'm waiting for this. So, and I know hundreds plus people waiting for this, and it's going to be thousands and then hundreds of thousands. It's going to be millions. And I tell you, when you crack this, you corner the market, it'll sell itself. People will just want it, and it'll just, it'll be the next thing. And it's just, I mean, when people wake up about there's no contract with this government, and you go, well, where's the contract that I've got to do, you Les? Where's the contract that I've got to do? Like the farmers. Farmers are getting hit with, I think it's 20% inheritance tax or 40% or whatever. If the farmers just woke up and said, where's the contract? Where's the contract? Well, I agreed to give you 40% of my farm. That's it. Game over. Because the government official with his red tape and his clipboard is going to go, oh, that's it. Game's up. Leg it. And then all the politicians are going to leg it and the judges are going to leg it. It's that simple. And then, of course, people are going to go, what we're going to do? And I go, there you go. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. Yeah. So we just got to put the pieces in place. We've got to offer the services, and they'll just come. As long as the services are good, it'll sell itself.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Pete. I think that's a good time to stop. We've gone over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But that's given me some very great clarity. So I know what I've got to do next. That's made it a lot simpler. And yeah, let's have another chat soon. Once we get something more going.
Yes.
So Stacey, I should say I'm going to do an interview with Nicholas as well soon. So Nicholas is the inventor. For those who don't know, when we have that chat, we'll talk about the technology, how it works. Because so far we haven't really talked about it, explained it in detail. I've just said we've got this technology. What can we do with it? So we need this discussion here. What should we do with it? And then we need another discussion: is how does it work? What is so clever about this technology, and how do we prove that it works? So that's coming soon. We'll have that soon.
I'll look forward to that.
Let me just say,
I was going to say, Nicholas is a smart chap, and he blew my mind when I chatted to him. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a lovely chap as well. It's a really nice chap, and he's a true decentralist. He wants to decentralize.
Yes, that's what I like.
I mean, even the secret code of the card, and I'm saying don't let that one out just yet. But I think that will let that out in time. That means because we can prove it then. Everyone has to know that this code is the real deal, and you can only know that if you show it.
Yes.
But I don't think we can show it until we've actually got a network up and running, because at the moment it's sensitive. We don't want anyone else to get that. That's what's special about it. Yeah. But we will. I mean, we will, and that's coming soon. But Pete, let me just say, It's an absolute pleasure to chat to you. Always is. Like I said, I will always defer to your wisdom on these matters. You've really got a very good, clear understanding of it. Very rare, and I value that ever so highly. I've
Thank
learned so much from you already in the last year, listening to you, watching you. It's all going in.
you. Yeah.
It's brilliant. So I've got the idea. You see, I know what it means. I have the feeling of being sovereign. Spiritually, I do feel I've exited the matrix a long
Yeah.
time ago, but physically, I'm still in it. I'm still
Yeah.
playing the game, and I'm biding my time. Once I know, I'll make my move. And I do believe I've got to show the way. If I build this system, I've got to do it myself and show that it works. So
Sure.
that's coming. But Pete, any
Yep.
final words from you? Anything last you'd like to say?
Yeah. I'll just sign off and say that if anyone watching, if you want to learn more, go to the sovereignproject.live. That's the website. There's a whole load of information on there. We've got books. Here's a book and some of these. By the way, all of the chapters in these books are free to download. So I'm not selling books. So the information is always going to be free. The Sovereign Project website membership will always be free. We won't charge for that either. There's courses on there. There's workshops. There's contacts. There's social media. Get involved in the Sovereign Network, meet other people who are on their journey of waking up, and be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem.
Mm. Brilliantly said. Thank you so much, Pete. And I will leave all the links below to your project. I always do. I talk about your project quite often in my videos, and I always leave the link below. So you'll find links to the Sovereign Project on a lot of my videos anyway. But Pete, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you
Nice.
so much. And I look forward to chatting again soon. Oh, and I
Nice
must
one.
say before I go, thank you also to Sovereign Carl for setting this up. And thank you to Sovereign Jeanette as well for setting this up. Those guys have been amazing. Absolute pleasure to work with them. All of you guys. I mean, it's just such a pleasure to work with sovereigns.
It is.
Such a
You're dealing
different,
with honourable
it's such a
people.
different way of, yeah, it's such a different way of working.
It really is.
And I look forward to a world where we could just work like that.
Yes.
Yeah, look
Me
forward to
too.
that.
Me
Pete,
too.
yeah,
Nice
Pete,
one.
all the best. And I'll sign off now. Thank you
Sign
so
off.
much.
See you soon. Bye bye.